To close off this episode, it's a returning series with Shantae, Risky's Revenge Director's Cut. This is an enhanced version of the second Shantae game I'm playing on the Wii U. At the time I downloaded this, the Switch ports of the first two games hadn't been announced. I start a new game to find Shantae outside a house, at work protecting Sequin Land from monsters. This acts as a sort of combat tutorial. It's just like when I played Half-Genie Hero, attacked by swinging Shantae's hair at the enemies until they all die. Once they're all gone, I'm given the freedom to explore a little, but the only thing I can really do is go right and talk to Bolo. He says he's off to see Shantae's uncle's show at the Relic Hunter Expo. When he mentions that Sky and Wrench will be there, Shantae remembers that she has one of Sky's eggs and left it in the sun. So I head off to the other side of the screen to pick it up. I can also see a chest just to the left, but I can't reach it yet. I return to Bolo and the two head into Skull Town. I enter the first building I find where Mimic is doing a show. Sky chews Shantae out for being late and I hand over the egg. Right after this, Mimic shows his newest discovery, a mysterious object which will have its contents auctioned off. He smashes it open to reveal an oil lamp. Risky Boots breaks in through the roof and takes the lamp. She's the only one who sees the value in it, as everyone else thinks it's worthless. She skids through the roof and Shantae chases her to the lighthouse where she's on her ship. Right away we have our first boss fight, the steam-powered organic Tinker Tub. It'll walk around before stopping and getting an explosive barrel in its mouth. I have to hit that barrel before it gets spat out to deal damage. It follows that up by getting in the water and bombarding me with cannon fire. It then gets back on land for a second cycle. After the third hit, the fight ends. Risky says it doesn't matter because she has the lamp that gives her the means to conquer Sequin Land. She then knocks Shantae out with a cannonball and flees. She's woken up by Mimic just in time for Mayor Skullbutt to show up and fire her for failing. When I played Half-Genie Hero, she did mention being fired once before. Whether it's specifically this moment or it's a running thing in every game, I guess I'll have to find out for myself. I must say that I don't like the look of these dialogue screens. The character artwork itself, the thick white outlines and the blue text box with blue text inside. I get this is a spruced up DSi game and this is a minor nitpick, but it looks unappealing to me. Shantae is determined to get the lamp and her job back, but Mimic doesn't want her to go and he can't tell her why either. He promised Shantae's mother he'd never speak of it as it caused her a lot of trouble in the past. Shantae does get him to say that the lamp isn't dangerous anymore, that the genie's removed its magical power ages ago, dividing its power into 3 magic seals. Shantae figures that Risky already knows about the seals, so Mimic begrudgingly agrees that Shantae has to find them before Risky does. With that, I head back into Skull Town. Everyone in town has some hints for me. The main way to get around is using these jump pads to move between streets. In the middle street, a woman says monsters have stolen all her magic jam, which is valuable and can be traded for items. There's the item shop that still sells magic spells, but I only had the money from that first set of enemies, so I can only afford one thing. I buy the fireball spell for 30 gems. At the far right end of the top street is a rock monster that won't let me pass. The save guy's on the left end of the middle street. On the bottom street I can leave town left or right. I choose right to enter Lilac Fields. There's more scarecrows and right away there's a chest I can't reach. Moving right to the next screen takes me to my first warp pedestal to activate, but until I at least find a second, it's worthless right now. Right again to the next screen I find a little cave in the ground. There's another chest in here that I can't get yet. Moving right some more leads to a screen with another save guy, and right again takes me inside Tangle Forest. Scarecrows are swapped out with fat winged monsters and little spiders. Moving right a little takes me to another cave. This has a chest with some gems, but I'm stopped by a locked door at the end. So instead I use the jump pad to move to the second lane. I go left and move on to another screen that acts as another dead end for now. Gotta say, I really like this area's music, it's very relaxing. Going right instead and ignoring the jump pads for now, I move on to another screen. There's a huge purple boulder and nothing else I can do right now. So I go back to those two jump pads and use the one that takes me to a new section at the first lane. Going right another screen here takes me to Roy Tops at her zombie wagon. She and her brothers are travelling for new food and suggest Shantae try out a living dog. Shantae is horrified because it's someone's pet. She refuses to eat it and says she'll return it to its owner. Shantae asks Roy if she's heard of the magic seals and Roy consults the literal web. She gets nothing. She does learn that Risky is travelling along the coast looking for the 3 barons of Sequin Land. I already know the barons from Half-Genie Hero, but there were 4 in that game. Rotty lists Squid Baron, Ammo Baron and Hypno Baron, and since Shantae already knew them all in Half-Genie Hero, I can assume that Techno Baron first appears in Pirate's Curse. Roy says that Squid Baron lives in this forest, so I get looking for him. I return to the previous jump pads and take the one to the third layer. Exiting the screen on the right takes me to my second warp pedestal, so now I have the form of fast travel. Apparently in the original DSi version, the pedestals were in pairs, and said pairs could only walk between each other. The director's cut removes that limitation, and now you can walk between all pedestals. Very good change. Returning to the main screen and next thing on the left takes me to another screen I can't do anything on yet. So I climb a tree at the left end and use a jump pad to reach the 4th and final layer. The left side has another rock monster, leaving just the exit on the right end. There's another save guy before I move right again. Next screen has some ruins with a locked door that when I try to get in, I'm told to go away. So I have no choice but to keep moving right. Past another boulder I can't do anything with yet until the jump pad to the middle layer. I get my first Naga enemy before I take the next pad to the 3rd layer. Then through the 4th and 5th layers to find a house. There's a chef inside who's missing a dog, so I give him back to her. In return she cooks me a tasty meal. I wonder if that's supposed to be the same chef I help out for a collectible in Half-Genie Hero. They look similar. I return to that building with the eye and the voice inside smells my tasty meal and lets me in. It's Squid Baron. He's been waiting hours for a completely separate food order, so I give him the tasty meal. Once he eats it, he asks what he can give Shantae in return. When she says she wants a magic seal, he makes a few excuses and runs off. Shantae is unimpressed. I take off after him and go through the door at the end. In the next room there's a locked door on the other end, so I have to get climbing. Got some crab enemies to deal with too. There's a chest inside the wall I can't open yet. I haven't been able to open up a single chest I've come across yet. I make my way to the top of the room and go through the door there. The next room has me jumping across giant flowers until I reach the door on the other side. In this room there are blocks to break to create the path up to the next door. In the next room I have to climb a chain and go through a sort of maze while avoiding fireballs being spat from statues to reach the door on the left. The room has me killing a plant monster before whipping a chest open through a wall to drop a key down a hole. I then have to break blocks around to the other side to drop after the key and pick it up. I can then return to that locked door and go through. Another new enemy appears, knights with shields that send waves of fire along the floor. Killing it opens the door leading to a save guy. The door after it leads to a room with spiked platforms I have to whip to flip over to the safe sides. I make my way across them to the door on the other side. There's a door right across from the one I enter through, but instead I jump onto the chains in the middle and get climbing. I can't get very far though and drop down and go through the door on the right. In this room I simply keep dropping, pass a small passage in the wall and past the locked door until I reach the door at the bottom. I then jump across some more giant flowers and flippy platforms to the next door. In this room I have to kill 2 knights to keep moving forward to a room with loads of breakable blocks in the middle. I just have to keep hitting them until the square becomes a skull, which causes some enemies to appear, and once they're dead I get a chest with another key. On the way out I need to take out some more enemies to unlock the door again. I backtrack to the locked door I'd passed before and go inside. I have to kill 3 more knights to move on to the next room where there's another save guy. The door left of him leads to some more platforms that take me to the top left corner of the room where I can drop down to another door. In this room is a magic fountain where I'm granted the monkey dance. Shantae's dance has 3 animations depending on how long you hold it. Letting go of the button during the first animation lets me transform into the monkey. Like in the later game, it's used to climb walls. I use it to go through the door opposite the one I entered from. The next room has me jumping across spikes to another door. The room after demonstrates the monkey's climbing skills. It can only climb up flat surfaces, so I have to jump between these blocks to reach the door at the top. The next room is another block maze to break through. It's kind of a trick though, and the exit is right at the beginning. Just break this block and climb up through the ceiling. This puts me back in the room with the first locked door. The monkey's climbing ability also lets me reach that chest in the wall. It contains my first magic gem. Returning to the room with the flippy platforms, I can now just use the monkey to climb through the ceiling and skip all that. It also lets me climb to the top of the room with the chains, but the door up top is locked. I have to return to the room I dropped down and use the monkey to go through the hole in the wall to another door. And here's another picture to make by breaking blocks. I make a monster's head to make some enemies appear and kill them for another chest with another key, which I use to open that locked door. It leads to another save room. The door on the right leads to a room containing a huge boss door. Going through it gets me confronted by Squid Baron, who is the first boss. He can spin along the ground, he can create 4 squid outlines above himself and pick a random one to drop down from. He can create many smaller squid outlines that will be filled in with his children as they fall down towards me. They only take 1 hit to kill. He'll also prepare by eating more of his meal, then follow it up with rapidly spinning between the walls. To avoid it I have to use the monkey to cling to the walls, but with his normal swing attack I keep jumping too early and get myself killed. I do much better next time and finish him. He explodes a lot, letting me grab the first magic seal. Back outside, Risky drops in to give a half-hearted attempt at taking a seal before leaving when Shantae refuses to hand it over. The monkey gives me access to some new stuff. On the left screen of the 3rd layer in Tangled Forest I can jump across the pit to find a chest containing a second magic gem. On the screen left of the 2nd layer I can climb the wall to the top to find a cave with a chest inside. However, there's a pit I can't cross yet keeping me from it. Back on the first screen of Lilac Fields, the monkey lets me jump high enough to reach the chest. It gives me a heart holder, adding an extra heart to my life. I return to Skull Town and enter the item shop to buy the map of Sequin Land for 20 gems. Some mines require a certain amount of magic gems too, so I decide to save the ones I have for now. Returning to the town gate, I then take the left exit to Pumpkin Fields. The first screen is simply pits and naggers. Moving left to the next takes me to the 3rd Warp Pedestal and Bolo, who's blocking the exit. He says I need to see the mayor first, who is at his seaside retreat at the far end of Polyp Bay. He also sent Shantae a 100 gem bribe. To reach the mayor I have to return to the lighthouse and go to the far left side of the screen. I can now use the monkey to climb the wall and open the chest for some more gems before moving left into Polyp Bay. This screen is filled with long narrow platforms to grab onto with the monkey to get across, crossing huge pits on the way. Halfway across this screen is a cave. Surprise surprise, I can't do anything here yet. Entering and leaving it does act as a helpful checkpoint for when I fall into a pit though, whether through me missing a platform or a platform floating above my head and bouncing me into it. More of these platforms and I reach the end of the screen where a save guy is waiting for me. The next screen has me avoiding enemies jumping across a bridge. Left from that is another warp pedestal. Going left from there gives me 2 chests with gems inside. I keep going to find the mayor and under him a chest with my 3rd magic gem inside. The mayor says that Sequin Land Palace has heard of Risky's activities and cut off trade to Skull Town. Without that fishing trade, the mayor has no choice but to give Shantae the town deed and sell it to Ammo Baron, who has been pressuring the mayor to sell him the town for ages. I first return to the item shop and spend my 3 magic gems and 200 gems on the Silky Cream to speed up Shantae's hair attack. I also buy the Pike Ball and Storm Puff spells for 50 gems each too. I return to the Pumpkin Fields warp pedestal and can continue now that Bolo is gone. This screen is filled with scarecrows that kick down Molotov pumpkins at me. There's also a cave on this screen. No catch, there's just a chest in the open with a magic gem inside. I then use the monkey to climb up a wall and exit the screen on the left, leading to another save guy. To the left of him is Barren Desert. Right away there's another of those boulders. I still have naggers to deal with, but also bats and slimes now. A little further on is a cave, nothing much here, and I cross over to the exit taking me back outside. I climb up a few platforms where my first archer is waiting. I cross over a few pits and keep going left and into another cave. This is the Desert Pass. I follow the cave to the bottom where I can go left or right. I choose right where I find a hidden passage leading to gems and the entrance to another screen. Once again I have to choose left or right, and this time I choose left. I climb some more walls, passing a boulder on the way and exit the screen to the left to activate my 5th warp pedestal. That's all I can do here though, so I return to the previous fork and go right. It leads back outside where I now have mummies to deal with. The screen to the right of that has another save guy. Right of that is another building with an eye. Inside is a guy named Barracuda Joe, who tells me this is Battle Tower. I can't get in because I don't have the passport and only Ammo Baron gives those out. So I leave and head in the cave to the right. In here is another boulder and some platforming to do before the exit at the top puts me in one of the earlier caves. So I return to the first right or left fork and go left this time. This screen has another boulder and a few Ammo Baron's men on the way to his tent. Ammo Baron's looking a lot shorter than he does later on. I give him the town deed. With Shantae now one of his citizens, she gets given a passport. He's also named the town Ammo Town. Behind Ammo Baron's tent is a chest with a magic gem inside. I return to the battle tower and show Joe my passport. I have to pay 20 gems to raise the clock to the top of the tower. Simple. The clock starts me at 3 minutes and the first room is naggers and the fat monsters with wings. Between main rooms as I climb, I can break open vases for clocks that add time back. Second room is just a few scarecrows and an archer, followed by a second wave of archers. Third room is more fat ones with wings, followed by a mummy. After the third climbing screen, I have to cross some chains hanging above the pit. Fourth combat room is a couple archers and a mummy, followed by 2 knights. I'm glad I upgraded my attack speed. Fifth room is a load of slimes. Sixth is a few naggers, followed by scarecrows with pumpkins, and then more archers with a couple fat ones. I get another chain room after that. Seventh room is a mix of everything, followed by 6 archers. Eighth room is a knight, followed by 2 more knights, followed by a stronger blue knight. Next room is the final one. First slimes, then scarecrows, then naggers, then fat ones, then archers, then mummies, then 2 knights to finish it off. I end up clearing the tower with 14 seconds remaining, opening the door and letting me grab the second magic seal. Joe thinks my prize is worthless and to apologise, he gives me the forest key. When I leave, Risky is waiting again. She demands the seal again and doesn't put up much of the fight and leaves when Shantae says no. I return to Tangle Forest and go back into the cave on the front layer. I can now open that locked door inside with the forest key. In the next room I have to climb over some blocks to reach the next door, followed by dropping down to the bottom of the following room and climbing back up to another door. This is followed by a room filled with crabs and another with blocks to break through to reach the room at the end containing a magic fountain. This one gives me the elephant dance, reached by letting go of the dance button on the second animation. The elephant can break through these large grey blocks, which lets me make my way out quicker. When I reach the entrance, Roy Tops's brothers, Poe and Abner, are waiting for Shantae. This is their first time meeting, so I can guess they weren't in the first game while Rotty very likely was. They want to make a deal with Shantae. They'll help her get inside Hypno Baron's lair in return for brewing them some coffee. I need a coffee machine and Poe says he likes rotten egg in his. They'll be waiting at the boathouse for me. The elephant dance finally allows me to destroy the rock monster on the back layer of the forest. It leads to a new section of lilac fields. The elephant can also destroy all those purple boulders I've been pointing out, one of which is on this screen. It reveals a cave, but I still can't do anything inside it just yet. Continuing left, we now have scarecrows that spit poisonous clouds too. At the far end of the screen is a chest with a broken coffee machine. Returning to the screen right of Squid Baron's lair, I smash another boulder to reveal another cave. I have to jump across a lot of chains, avoiding some spinning blades to reach a chest at the end containing some coffee beans. I return to Squid Baron's lair and in the room I climb with the breakable blocks at the beginning, I use the monkey to climb through the ceiling to find a magic jam. That gets me another free to trade along with 300 gems for the super silky cream to make Shantae's attacks the fastest they can be. Then I smash the rock monster at the right end of the back layer of Skull Town to reach Mermaid Cliffs. We have mermaid enemies with tridents and firing bubbles now. I just keep moving onto the second screen. The second has nothing new and I keep moving right to a screen with the save guy. The next screen has the entrance to Hypno Baron's lair and the screen after is a dead end for now. So that was a waste of time. I return to the first screen of the desert and smash the first boulder to enter the cave it was hiding. Another one where I can't do anything yet. Or so I think. I smash the boulder on the screen containing Ammo Baron's tent. No items, but it does have 6 chests filled with gems. The next one I smash is on the screen leading to the warp pedestal. There's a chest blocked by something that I can't smash, so I leave. The solution is very embarrassing. I then take the cave entrance next to the battle tower and smash the boulder in there. It leads to a simple platforming challenge that takes me to the elephant stomp skill. It does what you'd expect. I head over to Sky's house and have her repair the coffee machine for me. She also happens to have the rotten egg to add to it and hands me the finished latte. 10 minutes of aimless wandering later, I enter the first cave I found in Lilac Fields and use the elephant stomp to break the blocks keeping me from the chest. It gets me a magic jam. Almost half an hour after giving up on it, I return to the cave next to the desert warp and realise I can just use the fire spell to burn down the wood in my way. I can beat Ninja Gaiden, but it takes me half an hour to remember that wood is flammable. It leads me to a chest with some gems and the monkey bullet skill that lets me bounce off walls. With this skill I can return to the cave in Pollitt Bay and use it to navigate the screen to find a chest with another magic jam. I use my 2 gems to buy the magic fill, which automatically fills my magic bar over time for 150 gems, and attract magic, which draws in nearby items like gems for 100 gems. I can return to that dead end at Mermaid Cliffs and monkey bullet off the one platform there to continue. What follows is a very long segment with a lot of pits to jump over and mermaids to fight. At the end of the screen is another warp pedestal to activate. On the next screen is the boathouse where Abner and Poe are waiting, so I can hand over the latte in exchange for a plastic explosive. I return to the entrance of Hypno Baron's lair and attach it to the door. I then use the storm puff to trigger the explosion. Nothing in the first room other than the door to the next. This room has an eyeball statue that changes direction when hit. This also changes the room I'll reach through the next door. I first go through the door with the eye pointing up. This gives me a room where I'm jumping across chains. However, the door at the other end is locked. So instead I try the room I get with the eye pointing right. This room has me charging through breakable blocks leading to a chest I can't reach. Even the monkey bullet shoots past it. Pointing down next. Here I go through a maze as the monkey to see another chest I can't reach. I can however drop down the middle to reach the other chest I couldn't get before. Finally, with the eye pointed left, I get a room filled with water I can't do anything in yet. So it's through that locked door next. The door locks behind me and I have to fight a few skeletons. Some have to be killed more than once before they stay down. The room after that contains Save Guy. The next room has my first sorcerer enemy, but I kill him before it does anything. There's a door at the other side that's locked, so I have to get climbing. The sorcerers take a long time to charge their attack, but in return you can't block it. I go through the door at the top and climb up through the next room while dealing with skeletons. At the top there's a door on the left and right sides along with an eyeball statue each that closes and opens when hit. I go through the right door with both eyes open. This room is unremarkable, just some more skeletons and spiders. The room after makes me fight a sorcerer followed by a load of slimes for a chest containing a key. I then backtrack 2 rooms and go through the left door. It has a statue spitting fireballs that I have to use the elephant to smash through and then use the key to unlock the door behind it. This is followed by a load of blocks and spikes over a pit I have to use the monkey to cross. At the end of this room is another save guy. The room after has one of those eye blocks the Hypno Baron level in Half-Genie Hero also had. I have to wait for the eye to point in the direction I want before jumping on. I ride it up to a door and another pair of eyeballs. There are many different rooms I can make with these, but both eyes have to be either pointing in the same direction or opposite directions. With both eyes pointing right, I get a room where I ride eyeball blocks to the right, avoiding many obstacles on the way to a chest with a key. Then I try the left eye pointing left and the right eye pointing right. It takes me to a locked door with 4 eyeball statues. I don't know the correct combination, so I leave. Next I try both eyes pointing left. This is another one riding eyeball blocks and jumping over obstacles to a chest with another key on the other side. Both eyes facing up next. A series of eyeball blocks I ride up to get a 3rd key. Left eye up and right eye down has an upside down room with a chest on the ceiling that gives me a magic jam. Both eyes down has me take a long drop to the bottom for a 4th key, then makes me ride eyeball blocks back up to the top. Left eye down and right eye up is just an upside down room with a few enemies and nothing else. Both eyes pointing inward takes me to a series of locked doors to use all these keys on. At the end it shows the correct combination of the 4 eyeball statues that I can then use to unlock that door. It leads to a room filled with water. At the other end is another magic fountain, letting me get the mermaid dance. This one requires letting go of the button on the 3rd animation. Even though I can swim freely through water, I can't attack, so there's a chest in here I still can't get. What follows is a lot of backtracking. In the room with eyeball statues on both ends, I go through the right door with both of them closed and get a room with 9 chests filled with gems. I return to the room with the statue at the beginning and go back to the room with the water. I use the mermaid to reach the other side and drop down to the chest I couldn't reach earlier to get half a skull. But now I'm sort of stuck, it seems I've run out of rooms to explore. I need to be in this room with both eyes open and go through the left door. Last time one of the eyes was closed. Here I just have to ride a couple platforms over to the door to reach a room filled with water. I use the mermaid to get through and reach a room with fire-spitting statues. At the other side is the bottom half of the skull. I can now use both halves to unlock that locked door near the beginning and go through the boss door. Hypno Baron's looking a little different than he will in the future. He gives some vague congratulations about doing so well before hinting that Mimic is hiding something from her before transforming into him for the boss fight. Hypno Baron will teleport around the arena before throwing potions that cause a burst of fire to rise up. He'll also throw potions that cause 2 electric balls to travel on the ground. He's probably the easiest boss in the game though, since I can leave the pike ball out and keep whipping him at the same time until he's done. His skull tries hopping away, but I give it one last whack and get the 3rd magic seal. This time Risky doesn't show up demanding them. 3 screens to the left I can use the mermaid to drop into the water below this bridge. I find an area in the bottom right corner, but there's a statue keeping me from going any further. So instead I try the waters outside Shantae's house only to find an area in the bottom left also blocked off by a statue. Sky and Bolo are waiting outside her house. The Mimic's gone missing and there was a ransom note left in his workshop. Risky has him and will trade him for the magic seals. She's waiting in the lamp's original resting place somewhere to the east. Shantae tries to think of something when Squid Baron shows up. He says that Risky wasn't the one to kidnap Mimic, it was Rytops. Shantae doesn't believe him on the basis of him having exploded earlier. He says he and his children were threatened by Risky for the seal and his kids have since run off. He wants to make a deal, find his 3 kids in exchange for being told how to sneak into Risky's hideout. He says they'll all be hiding underwater and one will have an artifact that will help me through the back entrance to the hideout. First I go back to the item shop and trade that magic gem I got and 50 gems to upgrade the fireball into the Spitfire. I then warp to Polyp Bay, go a screen right and use the mermaid to go underwater to the bottom and up through a gap in the middle. This takes me to a room with the first of 3 golden baby squids. I warp to Mermaid Cliffs, go a screen right and do the same. I find a cave in the bottom left corner that I swim through for the 2nd golden baby squid. Next the first screen of Mermaid Cliffs from Skull Town. I go underwater and through a couple semi-hidden passages down to the bottom left corner for another cave. I get 3 chests filled with gems and the final golden baby squid. I return to Squid Baron and hand them over. In return I get the mermaid bubble artifact so I can finally attack underwater and break those statues. He also tells me that the secret passage to Risky's hideout is on the east of the first Mermaid Cliff screen. I go into the bottom left cave on this screen for about 10 chests that all give me gems. There's also one in the bottom right that has a chest with my 2nd heart holder. I returned to that first cave in the desert I gave up on because I was capable of doing it the entire time. I just needed to use the pike ball to flip the platforms. Still got to time the jumps right though. Instead I just use a Spitfire, it's safer. At the end is a magic gem. Left of the entrance to the desert pass, I can cling onto this wall as the monkey and bullet across to another magic gem. I then return to the battle tower, there's a price for completing it a 2nd time. This time I clear it with 1.5 minutes remaining and get another magic gem. Next comes the stuff I've been able to do in Tangle Forest for a while and just forgot about. I go to the screen right the 2nd layer and smash the boulder. In this cave everything is in silhouette. There's no extra challenge though and I get the 4th heart holder. Outside I also use the monkey to reach a chest with a magic gem. On the screen left of the 2nd layer I climb to the top and go back inside the cave. With Monkey Bullet I can now cross the pit and get another magic gem. I return to this room in Squid Baron's lair now that I can go underwater. I swim to another screen to get yet another magic gem. With all those gems I return to the item shop to buy the upgrades Flamethrower, Super Pike Ball, Crush Puff and Mega Pike Ball for a total of 875 gems. I'm just missing 2 magic gems for the final upgrade. Next is the room in Hypno Baron's lair where I first got the mermaid dance where I can break open that statue to reach another magic gem. I finally remember that cave I opened in the field screen left at the back layer of Tangle Forest. Using Flamethrower to burn a tiny hole and the Monkey Bullet to reach it, I can get the final magic gem at the end. I then buy the final upgrade, Mega Puff, using the 2 gems and 250 gems. That's every item in the game collected, all that's left is taking on Risky. I return to the first screen of Mermaid Falls and swim down to the bottom right corner. Now I can break through the statue, I can swim up to the door leading to another warp pedestal. After that is another save guy. This is followed by another short room leading to the final area, the Sunken Cavern. So I'm 2 for 2 now on there being side-scrolling shooter segments using the mermaid just before confronting Risky. We have Tinker Bass with harpoons trying to stab me along with some sea mines. I've only just realised this is the first time fighting Tinker Bass in this game and it's right at the end. It goes on for quite a few minutes so let's skip to the end. It leads to another short room that leads to the final warp pedestal in the game, followed by the final save guy. The room after him is pitch black with only objects being visible but not the room's layout. Gotta use all 3 dancers to get to the boss door at the end. Risky has Mimic and tells Rotty and her brothers to leave now they've been paid. They didn't want cash however, they wanted Shantae's brains and a lifetime supply of coffee. Risky blows them off which leads to them leaving, Rotty in tears. Whether from being cheated out of Shantae's brains or having betrayed her for nothing in the end, I don't know. Shantae shows up and Risky demands the seals. You have a yes or no answer, but in reality you only have one choice, and Shantae is forced to hand them over. Mimic is set free while Shantae is determined to defeat Risky before the lamp reaches full power. The Tinker Tub returns for another fight and stronger than before. It will quickly spit barrels out before trying to run me over. Then it will fire the anchor out of its mouth. This is while Risky is firing the cannon above too. The method of damaging it is the same as before though, I just have to wait for it to hold the barrel in its mouth rather than spit it out and then hit it. It'll then jump in the water behind and try cannon fire again. There are now face cannonballs that will spawn a Tinkerbat if they land and open. This fight goes on for a while and it takes 4 hits to defeat it. It's too late though, the lamp is fully powered and Risky uses it on Shantae. Normally it would fully enslave a genie, but since Shantae is only half genie, it instead strips her of the powers, leaving her fully human. She then uses the magic sea stole to create Nega Shantae. I wasn't expecting her to be in this game too. She's the final boss. I've lost my transformations, but they wouldn't be useful for this fight anyway. This is similar to the fight I had in Half-Genie Hero, just with a smaller moveset. She can use Monkey Bullet, she can just run right through me, she can charge me as the elephant and then rapidly stomp across the screen. Finally, she can use the mermaid to fire a wall of bubbles. She has an absurd amount of health, and having already been worn down a little by the Tinker Tub, I'm killed. My main strategy tends to be keeping out the Mega Pike Ball to get as many hits in as quick as possible, but it also drains my magic very quickly. After my 4th death, I decided to just walk back to town and buy both kinds of potions. Yeah, I never bought a single potion all game until now. Too stingy. Potions are a big help, and on my 5th attempt, I beat her, destroying her. Risky cannot believe Shantae would destroy her magic half and leaves. Maybe it comforts her over losing her magic, although they do learn that Shantae's control of her hair doesn't come from her magic half, as she can still use it. They go home where the others are waiting, and despite attempts to cheer her up, she's still torn over losing her genie half and feeling further away from her mother. But it's the mayor of all people who cheers her up and offers her a job back, after he gets a town back from Ammo Baron, that is. I wasn't expecting the game to end with that, considering Half-Genie Hero starts with her having her powers back already, so I guess Pirate's Curse will fill in the blanks if I ever get around to that. I got a final time of 4 hours 32 minutes and all 34 items collected. The 100% item collection gets me a picture of Risky. I'm not going for all the pictures because the game doesn't even keep track of them. I also unlocked Magic Mode. This mode halves my magic consumption but also doubles the damage I take. It also changes Shantae's outfit to this slave Leia looking one. I believe this is from Pirate's Curse and was then retroactively added to this game for the director's cut. I'm also going for the 100% speedrun picture with this one. This should not be a problem since I did it right after finishing my first run. I'll spare the details because nothing interesting happened. Nega Shantae is even harder though thanks to that double damage. I beat her again and get the same ending. Final time of 2 hours 44 minutes with 100% items gets me a picture of Roy Tops. And that's Shantae Risky's Revenge. I like this game, but it definitely isn't as good as Half-Genie Hero, but that makes sense, 6 years earlier with a lower budget. I know the game was made for the DSi as a download game, but it does feel a little too small and short. What's there is a lot of fun, but I feel the game really gets going and then it's over already. 4.5 hours is kind of a long time for this game because there was a lot of aimless wandering out of stupidity I skipped over. But I'm glad I played it, and it's just nice to have one game this episode that isn't going to end up ranked in the bottom 10.